Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan Cipiti. I am the director of Identity, the Andrew Nemr story. Really glad that we can continue the conversation with Andrew Nemr. Andrew, thank you for being here.
Pleasure to be here, John.
Well, good. I'm excited to keep talking about this. I mean, looking back on the film, now having seen it and gone through it, what are your reflections on it?
Oh, wow. I think the thing that's struck me is how much of an ongoing question this is. Every time I get close to like a very succinct answer or a very like, okay, this is exactly what it is, or this is where I find that thing that I've been searching for, it dodges. It moves just far enough away that like, okay, and you keep moving, you keep following it.
A big part of your story and a big part of your performance is you bring the audience into that and you kind of lay it all out there for them. How do you feel about bringing the audience into your story?
It's scary. It's like every, before a live show or even, before a screening of the film, I get nervous. I don't know how this story is going to affect people. And the only way to get the story out is to be as open as possible. And so my hope is that it affects people like well and in a good way and for their benefit. But to be in that disposition is totally scary. Yeah.
Well, Andrew, you're in luck because we actually have some more questions from people who've seen the film, and I'd love to just talk about a few of those now.
Sure.
The question's actually about my favorite character in the film, your mom. Your mom has a line that still sticks with me. She is talking about the time when you came to her when you were younger and you said you wanted to change the world. How do you think you're doing that?
I don't know. Looking back and even hearing my mom say that in the film, it strikes me that I think as I was younger, my scope for what the world was might have been a little bit smaller than what I see it today. And as an artist, there's an experience that you go through where you put something out into the world and you don't know where it's going to go or how far it's going to go or who it's going to affect. But you do the work that you can.
When we talk about changing the world on this grand scale, it seems like this impossible task, but really, I think this is how I see you're changing the world, is when you're with people, you're with people. You've at least changed my world.
So it's interesting to see what you did with the cinematography in the film. Why did you focus so much on my feet?
Well, you have great feet, first of all.
Thank you.
A few different reasons. I mean, I'm new to tap. I know nothing about it, and that is where I feel like I was drawn first. We focus primarily on the feet in the beginning of the film, but it was pretty intentional that as we go through the film, and then at the end of the film, the final shot, there's not a lot of feet other than to show you took your shoes off.
That's exactly what happens with somebody who laces up a pair of tap shoes for the first time because of this kind of like perception. Right? Like all the action is happening down at the floor, so that's where the focus should be. But actually the system is the body, like, and the body, where the body moves the feet. It's not vice versa. So we've got another question asking about particularly the last scene in the film. Could you talk about, I guess, your inspiration or how that scene came about?
That's actually a really good question, and it's one that comes up a lot. The last scene of the film was the first thing we ever filmed. And we filmed it before we even knew we were doing a short film with you. We were in Japan, 100 miles off the coast of Nagasaki, in one of the oldest churches, the hidden Christian churches in Japan from the era of Christian martyrdom. And it was a small group of us, maybe like 15, 20 people. And I think you said, "Can I dance?" That was a pretty risky question because we had to take our shoes off.
Yeah, the floor was beautiful.
It's from that era.
Wood floor.
That was one of the most special moments of my life. I knew from the beginning, before we filmed anything else with you, that's how we were ending the film. So what's your relationship with Savion like now?
Unfortunately, my relationship with Savion is just non-existent. Looking back at it, there's very easily kind of a perspective that would say, like, everybody goes through that stuff. Just take it and, move on, right? And I think for me, it was it was like a breakdown of my entire worldview. You know, the Lebanese perspective of family is potentially very different than other perspectives, but it's like blood is blood, right? It's like you don't ever leave your parents, you don't leave the house. Like there's a lot of things that come from that culture that I just projected, right? I said, okay, well, this is my older brother. That means we're family. That means this is what this means. To not have the conversation and then to have to try and like figure it out was really hard.
And I think that distinction of two cultures is really interesting. And it makes me think of something you and I have talked about a lot. But what's it like being a white guy in an African-American art form?
That's a question that I get quite often, particularly in the cultural context that we live in today. It's a really important one to address head on. Tap dance is fundamentally an American art form rooted in the African American experience. There's no way that we would have tap dancing without the cultural contribution of African Americans. The majority of tap dance education as a formal pursuit, and it's the way that I started, was in a suburban dance school where most of the students are not of African American descent. Being someone who looks white but comes from a cultural context that isn't, and having been invited into the African American community and that tradition, which looks at tap dancing as a cultural form, not just this thing that you do so that you're good at it, allows me to think about it or think about the pursuit a little differently. Tap dancing for me at this point is like an embodied experience of cultural empathy. You're putting your body to work to discover how somebody else dances, right? And how somebody else moves. And the way that they move is an expression of who they are and where they come from. For, you know, a young suburbanite to connect to, you know, one of the cool cats, and they now know someone who's cross-cultural and they're dancing like them. So the next time they see somebody who moves differently, who speaks differently, who has a different personality, who comes from a different culture, they're not going to experience cognitive dissonance. We have to have a grid or a lens for what actually is a healthy culture, because whatever we're going to end up with has to be healthy for everybody. Finding that language is hard, but that's the work.
Thank you so much, Andrew. As always, it is amazing talking to you. Thank you for tolerating one more interview. And thanks for talking about this film. I mean, I know it's impacted us both in so many ways.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome.